In 2003, college football gave us one of the most controversial endings of the BCS era. The LSU Tigers finished 13-1, won the SEC, beat Oklahoma in the Sugar Bowl, and were crowned BCS National Champions. The USC Trojans finished 12-1, dominated Michigan in the Rose Bowl, and finished number 1 in the AP poll. 2 champions, 1 season, no head-to-head matchup. And the controversy wasn't just that there were 2 champions, it was how we got there. USC finished number 1 in both human polls entering bowl season, but the BCS formula pushed the Trojans out of the national championship game. Instead, Oklahoma stayed in the title game despite getting blown out by Kansas State in the Big 12 championship, while LSU jumped into the number 2 spot after beating Georgia for the SEC title. So USC went to the Rose Bowl and beat Michigan. LSU went to the Sugar Bowl and beat Oklahoma. The computers crowned LSU, the writers crowned USC, and college football was left with the exact problem that the BCS was supposed to solve. 2 teams, 2 trophies, and no game between them. So today, we're settling it the only way we can. What if the 2003 USC Trojans and the 2003 LSU Tigers played each other 100 times? Would Pete Carroll's explosive, balanced, star-powered Trojans win it? Or would Nick Saban's defensive machine drag USC into a physical SEC title fight? This is split decision, 2003 USC versus 2003 LSU. And by the end, only one team gets to call itself the true national champion. USC entered 2003 as a program on the rise. Pete Carroll had already turned the Trojans back into a national power. But this was the season where USC really began to look like the dynasty that would soon dominate college football. The Trojans finished 12-1, won the Pac-10, and finished number 1 in the final AP poll. Their offense was one of the best in the country, averaging over 41 points per game. And when you watch USC's 2003 highlights, what stands out immediately is how balanced they were. Matt Leinart was still young, but he already looked like a future Heisman Trophy winner. He was calm, accurate, and rarely seemed overwhelmed by the moment. At running back, USC had a freshman Reggie Bush, who was not yet the 2005 version of himself, but the explosiveness was already obvious. Every time Bush touched the ball, you could see the field tilt. Then there was Lendale White, giving USC a power back who could punish defenses between the tackles. On the outside, Mike Williams was one of the most physically dominant receivers in college football. Kerry Colbert was reliable, polished, and dangerous. Dominic Byrd gave them another athletic target at tight end. This was not a gimmick offense. This was not a soft Pac-10 passing team. USC could throw it, run it, stretch the field, and physically finish drives. Defensively, they had serious talent too. Mike Patterson, Kelechi Aduzze, Frosty Rucker, Lofa Tatupu, Darnell Bing, and Will Poole gave the Trojans NFL caliber players at every level. The resume was impressive. They opened the season by going on the road and beating Auburn 23-0. Later, they crushed number 6 Washington State 43-16. And in the Rose Bowl, they handled number 4 Michigan 28-14 in a game that felt more dominant than the final score would indicate. Their only loss came on the road at California, 34-31 in triple overtime. That loss kept USC out of the BCS title game. But every single USC win came by at least 17 points, except the Rose Bowl, and even that was a comfortable 2-touchdown win over a top 5 Michigan team. USC's argument is simple. They look like the best team in the country. But LSU's argument is just as strong. The 2003 LSU Tigers were Nick Saban's first national championship team, and in many ways, they look like the blueprint for the dynasty he would later build at Alabama. Defense first, physical line play, smart quarterbacking, explosive enough on offense, elite special teams, and roster stacked with NFL talent. LSU finished 13-1, won the SEC, and beat Oklahoma 21-14 in the Sugar Bowl to win the BCS National Championship. The Tigers averaged nearly 34 points per game, but their identity was defense. LSU allowed only 11 points per game, the best mark in the country. That defense was nasty. Chad Lavalace was an All-American on the defensive line. Marcus Spears was a future first-round talent. Kyle Williams became a long-time NFL defensive tackle. Corey Webster was an elite college corner. LaRon Landry was already emerging as one of the most talented defensive backs in the country. LSU was built to make every offense uncomfortable. Their offense was not as explosive as USC's, but it was balanced and dangerous. Matt Mock was not Matt Leinart, but he was efficient, tough, and experienced. Justin Vincent became one of the stars of the postseason. Joseph Addai gave LSU another future NFL back. Michael Clayton was a legitimate number 1 receiver. Devery Henderson could stretch the field, and Skylar Green was dangerous anytime he touched the football. LSU's resume was loaded. They beat number 5 Georgia early in that season 17-10. They beat number 17 Auburn 31-7. They went on the road and beat number 15 Ole Miss 17-14. Then, in the SEC Championship game, they beat number 5 Georgia again, this time 34-13. And finally, they beat number 3 Oklahoma 21-14 in the BCS National Championship game. Their only loss came at home against Florida 19-7. That loss exposed one concern. LSU could be dragged into an ugly game where the offense struggled to finish drives. But outside of that, LSU was dominant. 10 of their 13 wins came by at least 17 points. USC had the cleaner, dominance profile. LSU had the deeper championship resume. And this is what makes this matchup so difficult. Before we simulate the game, let's go position by position. At quarterback, the edge goes to USC. Matt Leinart was a future Heisman winner and one of the best college quarterbacks of the 2000s. Matt Mock was a winning quarterback, but USC clearly has the edge here. At running back, the edge also goes to USC. Reggie Bush and Lendell White gave the Trojans the perfect thunder and lightning combination. LSU had Justin Vincent and Joseph Adai, which is excellent, but Bush is the most dangerous offensive player in the matchup. At wide receiver, the edge goes to USC again. Mike Williams and Kerry Colbert are a nightmare combination. LSU had Michael Clayton, Devery Henderson, and Skylar Green, so this is close, but Williams gives USC the best receiver on the field. At offensive line, I would call it close with a slight edge to LSU. USC had NFL talent, including Jacob Rogers, but LSU's line fit the physical identity of the team and gave them enough balance to win ugly. On the defensive line, edge LSU. Chad Lavalais, Marcus Spears, and Kyle Williams gave LSU the type of front that could actually bother USC without selling out. At linebacker, slight edge LSU. Lofa Tatupu was excellent for USC, but LSU's defensive structure and physicality gave them the advantage as a unit. In the secondary, edge LSU. Corey Webster, Travis Daniels, Jack Hunt, and LaRon Landry gave LSU one of the best defensive backfields USC would have seen all year. Special teams is close. USC had Reggie Bush, LSU had Skylar Green. Either one could flip the game. Coaching is a draw. Pete Carroll and Nick Saban are two of the greatest football coaches of the modern era. In 2003, both were still building their college legacies, but both already had elite defensive lines and championship-level staffs. So the quick scoreboard goes like this. Most of the offensive positions go to USC, offensive line goes to LSU, all of the defensive positions go to LSU as well. Special teams and coaching are a push. This is the perfect split-tile matchup. USC had the better offense, LSU had the better defense. Now let's put it on the field. For this simulated matchup, we're putting the game on a neutral field. No home field advantage, no BCS politics. Just USC versus LSU. And early on, the game feels exactly like you'd expect. USC comes out aggressive on offense. Matt Leinart gets the ball out quickly, trying to avoid LSU's defensive front. The Trojans use Mike Williams on the outside, Kerry Colbert underneath, and Reggie Bush as a motion piece to force LSU to declare cover. At first, USC moves the ball. Leinart hits Williams on a third down slant. Bush gets loose on a swing pass. Lendell White converts a short yardage carry. But once USC crosses midfield, LSU tightens. Chad Lavalais gets interior pressure. Marcus Spears sets the edge. Corey Webster contests the throw to Williams near the sideline. USC settles for a field goal. Trojans lead 3-0. LSU's first drive looks different. The Tigers are not trying to win a track meet. They want to slow the game down, lean on the run, and make USC's defense tackle. Joseph Vincent gets early carries. Joseph Adai rotates in. Matt Mock uses play action to find Michael Clayton on the crossing route. LSU does not look explosive, but they look comfortable. Then Skylar Green changes the field. A short throw turns into a chunk gain, and suddenly LSU is in the red zone, but USC's defense answers. Kanachi Aduze gets pressure off the edge, and Mock is forced to throw the ball away on third down. LSU kicks a field goal. Tie game 3-3. In the second quarter, USC lands the first real punch. Leinart starts attacking the middle of the field. Dominic Byrd gets involved. Colbert finds space underneath, and then USC finally gets Reggie Bush isolated on a linebacker. Bush catches the ball in space, makes one defender miss, and turns a routine play into a huge gain. A few plays later, Lendell White finishes the drive at the goal line. USC leads 10-3. This is the danger for LSU. USC does not need to dominate every snap. They only need a handful of explosive plays. But LSU responds like a championship team. The Tigers lean on their defense first. Lavalais blows up a run. Webster breaks up a pass. LSU forces USC's first 3 and out. But the field position flips. Mock does just enough. He finds Clayton on third down. Vincent breaks a run into USC territory. Devery Henderson stretches the defense and opens up space underneath. Then LSU goes to play action near the goal line. Mock finds the tight window and LSU gets the touchdown. Tie game 10-10. Late in the half, USC tries to answer. Leinart pushes the ball downfield to Mike Williams, and for a moment it looks like USC is about to take control. But LSU's secondary holds. On third down, Saban brings pressure. Leinart is forced to throw the football early, and LSU gets the stop. At halftime, it's USC 10, LSU 10. The second half becomes a chess match. USC wants tempo and spacing. LSU wants field position and physicality. Early in the third quarter, LSU creates the game's first turnover. Pressure from the interior forces Liner to climb the pocket, and as he tries to squeeze the throw over the middle, Corey Webster jumps the route. LSU takes over with a short field. The Tigers do not waste it. Vincent pounds the ball inside. A die gets to the edge. Mock hits Clayton on a key third down. Then Justin Vincent finishes the drive. LSU leads 17-10. Now USC is in danger. This is the exact kind of game that LSU wants. Lower scoring, field position driven, and physical. But championship USC does not panic. Liner answers with his best drive of the game. He hits Colbert on third down. He finds Williams on the sideline. Bush gets a touch in space and flips the field. Then USC goes back to Mike Williams in the red zone. Williams uses his size, boxes out the defender, and comes down with a touchdown. Time game, 17-17. In the fourth quarter, every possession feels like the national championship is on the line. LSU gets the ball and starts grinding. Mock converts on one third down. Vincent converts another. Skylar Green gives them a short game that becomes a first down. But USC stiffens near the red zone. Udeze gets pressure, the Tupu reads the screen, and LSU is forced into a field goal. Now LSU leads 20-17. Now the game is in Matt Laren's hands. This is where USC's advantage at quarterback matters. With under 6 minutes left, Liner starts to drive calmly. Short throw to Colbert, check down to Bush. White for 4 yards, then Williams on the outside. USC crosses midfield. LSU brings pressure, but Liner gets the ball out. Bush slips into space and turns a short pass into another first down. Now USC is inside the 25. LSU's defense needs one more stop. On second down, Lavalaise gets pressure and forces an incompletion. On third down, Liner looks for Williams, but Webster contests it. Fourth down, USC kicks the field goal, tie game 20-20. LSU has one final chance in regulation. Mock gets the Tigers near midfield, but USC's defense holds. This game goes to overtime, and in overtime, USC gets the ball first. Wendell White runs for 5. Bush motions out wide. LSU has to respect that speed. Liner uses the window to hit Colbert over the middle. First and goal. 2 plays later, White punches it in. USC leads 27-20. Now LSU has to answer. Vincent runs for a first down. Mock hits Clayton. LSU gets inside the 10. The Tigers are exactly where they want to be. But on third down, USC gets pressure. Mock rolls right, looks for Clayton, and the throw is contested near the goal line. Incomplete. Fourth down. One play to extend the national championship. LSU lines up. USC crowds the line. Mock drops back. Pressure comes. He fires toward the end zone. Broken up. Game over. Final score at USC 27, LSU 20. Not because LSU was exposed, not because USC dominated, but because in the closest possible matchup, USC's quarterback advantage and offensive explosive created just enough separation. So if 2003 USC and 2003 LSU played 100 times, who wins? My answer, USC wins 51 times out of 100, LSU wins 49 times. This is how close this is. USC gets a slight edge because they had the better quarterback, a more explosive offense, and more ways to create sudden points. Matt Liner, Reggie Bush, Wendell White, Mike Williams, and Kerry Colbert gave USC a higher offensive ceiling than anyone LSU played that season. And when two teams are this evenly matched, explosive plays matter. But LSU could absolutely win this matchup. In fact, LSU would win almost half the time. The Tigers win when their defensive front controls the game. They win when Chan Lavalaise and Marcus Spears disrupt USC's timing. They win when Corey Webster and LaRon Landry limit the big plays. They win when Matt Mock avoids turnovers, Justin Vincent controls the clock, and Skylar Green flips field position. LSU's path is simple. Turn the game into a 20-17 fight. Make USC play left-handed. Force Liner to be patient for 4 quarters. And if the Tigers do that, they could absolutely win. That's what makes 2003 so frustrating. This was not a fake split title. LSU deserved its BCS championship. USC deserved its AP championship. Both teams had NFL talent. Both teams had elite coaching. Both teams had dominant wins. Both teams had one ugly loss. But if we are forcing one answer, I think USC wins by the narrowest margin possible. The final verdict? 2003 USC is the split decision national champion. 51 wins to 49. But this was less about proving LSU wrong and more about proving how badly college football needed a real championship game. Because in 2003, the sport had 2 worthy champions, and we never got that one game that could have settled everything.